More employers are now mandating vaccination as a condition of returning to the office. Among them, some of the country's largest corporations, from Walmart to Tyson Foods. This as President Joe Biden announces his administration will require almost all federal employees to get vaccinated, and as the Delta variant rages across the country. But will other companies follow suit? Joining us are Andrew Challenger, Senior Vice President of Global Outplacement and Executive Coaching Firm Challenger, Gray and Christmas, and Jack Lavin, President and CEO of the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce. Welcome both of you to Chicago tonight.
Thanks for having us, Paris.
Good to have you. Andrew Challenger, I'll start with you. So you've seen these major companies kind of start the ball rolling. What are you seeing among Chicago area companies? What percentage of them are requiring vaccinations for their employees?
Yeah, it's a pretty new phenomenon, right? We've been surveying companies throughout COVID at various different points, knowing that that the vaccine was coming and the question around mandate was coming. Less than 3% of companies consistently told us that they were going to mandate it. And so when the dam broke this week and we saw dozens of Fortune 100 companies announce that they're going to change their policies and start mandating the vaccine, really surprised us. We don't have any data on the percentage of Chicago companies yet, but certainly there will be companies that follow in the footsteps of these really large organizations.
We've certainly seen some drinking and dining establishments institute their mandates. Jack Lavin, what about from your perspective? Are you talking to Chicago companies that are members of the chamber here considering this?
Absolutely, Paris. We're talking to companies every day. There is definitely a trend towards mandating vaccinations. We strongly encourage companies to implement policies to vaccinate their employees before they return to the office. And if they're not going to do that, have strict protocols for mask wearing and testing. And we're seeing more and more of that. We've had a number of companies this week announce mandating their employees who are returning to the office to have vaccines, like Google, Facebook, Lyft, Walgreens, Walmart, and just yesterday, Aurora Advocate Aurora Health announced all of their employees to get vaccines. And I think more and more companies, especially with the Delta variant, are moving in that direction. But every company's different. So, companies that have frontline workers, they have different things to consider and different parts of their operations consider. So this is something everybody's looking at their operations, and every company's different of what they can do. But there's definitely, for returning to the office, there is a trend towards vaccination.
And Andrew Challenger, some U.S. appellate courts have ruled, at least in the case of universities that are mandating vaccination, that it is legal to do so. It is constitutional. Do you anticipate any kind of legal issues with employers mandating that their employees get this as a condition of coming back to work?
Well, certainly people hold their views about the vaccine really strongly. There's lots of people that are going to have a hard time if their company decides to mandate it. And so while it does seem very clear from most legal experts, this most recent case from the appellate court around Indiana University, that it is going to be legal for companies to mandate the vaccine, all of them are pretty much going to be expecting some form of lawsuit, especially if they're large enough.
Most workers are at-will employees wherever they work. I work here. I'm subject to the rules of WTTW. Jack Lavin, do you anticipate any kind of pushback from employees? And is it fair to fire someone, as CNN reportedly did today, if they don't get the vaccine and don't comply?
I think Paris companies first want to educate their employees. And the last few years, the Edelman Trust Barometer has released that who do people trust the most? They trust their employers. And so I think it's time for business leaders and businesses to step up, educate their employees. It's not just about you as an individual. When you work for a company, when you work for anybody, it's about your fellow employees. It's about the business. It's about your community. And vaccinations have proven to be successful to keep people healthy. And so this is not just about the individual. And I think employers and businesses are best to do that. Tell their employees why it's important to move their business forward, the economy forward, and keep people in jobs and get people back to jobs. Because if we don't have more people get vaccinated or have strict masking and testing policies, We don't want the economy to turn around again. We don't want it closed down again. That we cannot have happen. It's important we educate, mandate, where we can, and require where we can. Sometimes there's religious reasons and health reasons why people can't do it. There may be other reasons, and that's why you have to have strict masking and testing policies and protocols in place, really strict, because we got to get this thing under control to keep our economy moving forward and keep people in jobs.
It seems like termination would be a last-ditch step that almost no one would want to take. Labor groups are kind of split on this. Let's hear what the Chicago Federation of Labor said today to us. They said, quote, "We're currently reviewing our affiliates' position on workplace vaccinations. However, we encourage everyone to make the decision to get vaccinated to protect themselves, their coworkers, and their families." Andrew Challenger, could this become a collective bargaining issue? You might have labor unions here saying, well, we don't think that as a union it's fair to make our workers do this. We should encourage them to do it, but maybe not make them do it.
Yeah, I think you are going to see some pushback, right? Those unions represent a lot of workers, and there are a lot of workers in the country right now that are really hesitant to get the vaccine. And so you're going to see some of them step up and represent their people in that way, almost certainly.
And Paris, I think
go ahead,
Paris,
Jack.
I think business and labor leaders need to step up. It's time for us to show leadership. The Trust Barometer says they believe in their employers and the leaders of their employers. They believe their labor leaders. It's time to step up, get more people vaccinated, educate them, and make sure we can move forward.
So, Jack, are you saying would you advocate these labor groups mandate vaccines for their workers?
I think that they should strongly encourage policies that require mandates to return to the office. Yes, and if they can't do that for health reasons, for religious reasons, or other reasons that pertain to their business or industry, they should have strict testing policies and strict mask policies. Listen, the largest CEOs in the country in the last few days have announced mandates. President Biden is the largest employer in the country, the federal employees, and they announced it, and strict testing policies. The CEO of Illinois, largest employer, is the state of Illinois, the governor, and he announced it. So business leaders need to step up. We need to educate and push, the science shows that this is the best way to tackle the Delta variant, get this virus under control, so that our economy can move forward, businesses can thrive, and people can stay in jobs. And it's not about the individual. We are a community, whether it's our neighborhood or our business where we work.
No doubt these are conversations many organizations in the area and across the country are having right now. And our thanks to Andrew Challenger and Jack Lavin. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great. Thank you.